You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment. The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Castle After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Castle After Show.
Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. That's later on this week. Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Yeah,
Yay.
It's Castle, Season 6, Episode 10, The Good, the Bad, and the Baby. I'm not Paige. She left us this week. She abandoned us like
How
an
dare
abandoned
she.
baby in a church.
Oh my God,
That's
good.
what she did
I like
to us,
that
right?
little tie-in.
Yeah,
that was good.
tie-in.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm Tiona Hobson, and joining me tonight.
Hi guys, I'm Kate Aquillano.
And we should get into this episode because it was really good.
It was good. 10 episodes in, and they're still, making me guess.
They're making us
I'm
guess.
like, I don't even know if I've guessed one killer correctly this whole season. Like I've had oh, it could be him, but I'm torn. Like they're doing a really, really good job.
Really good job of keeping things on the ledge. So we open the show with this man coming into a church. He's been shot. We find out his name is Cameron Duquesne.
Yes.
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 I almost said Duncan, but that's not how
Duquesne.
that's Duquesne. And he's been shot, and he's walking down this church aisle, and just as he makes his last step and lunge, he hands a baby
to the priest. And everyone's just kind of staring at each other like, what just happened? Then collapses
and dies. The priest is just standing there. He's just trying to sing his little song. It's 6:30 mass, and
now he has a baby.
And now
in his
he has
arms.
a baby.
And we don't know who the parents are. We don't know anything.
We don't know anything, but we are able to track down his wife. His wife comes into the precinct and gives us a bit of information. He is a driver for a car service.
Yep.
They don't have a baby. They were only married for 2 years, so they're not ready for a baby whatsoever. And the only weird thing that he's been doing lately is he went out and bought a bunch of home security devices.
Alarms, new locks. Yeah, when the wife came in, I was a little like, oh, she's not very sad. And I'm like, what does this mean? But it really wasn't anything. She was probably still in shock.
Yes.
But it was interesting that, why is he adding this extra security to the house? What's going in his life that would have led to kind of this whole ordeal?
Yes, so we have to figure out, whose baby this is, which
Yes.
we'll get into the whole baby storyline in a little bit.
It was
because
amazing.
It was amazing, and I want to take time to actually talk about that. But so we go visit his boss, whose name was Roman. I
didn't even catch that.
I caught it at the...
we've talked about this, the last 3 minutes of the episode, it's like rap, and the name was thrown in that 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
So bravo for catching that.
That's when I wrote it down. And he says, he was a good worker, his best driver. He was
very reliable.
Couple days ago or weeks ago, a guy came in.
And they got into an argument, so apparently he doesn't really know what they were arguing about, but apparently he knew him, and one big clue that they give, was it Beckett or Espo that was there?
It was Beckett.
It was Beckett, that the visitor had a huge wolf tattoo on his arm, and that did they overhear that he just got out of jail as well, so that they can use the jail tattoo database. It exists, apparently. Learn something new. To track down this guy based on the tattoo.
Based on the tattoo. We find him. His name is Jimmy Wolf-Insky.
Hence the wolf tattoo.
Hence the wolf tattoo. Ah, clever little Jimmy.
I mean,
and
perfect.
We find out that Cameron fits the description of the guy who should have been his getaway driver in a robbery from 7 years ago.
So that's why Jimmy was in jail. He was convicted of robbing a bank, and at the time, they only had a sketch of Jimmy's accomplice. And so when they put that up to Cam's picture, it's a match. Jimmy had never ratted him out, never said he had a partner. But then Beckett brings out the picture of dead Cameron, and he's like, Cam's dead, and they're like, so you know him.
Yeah, that was so funny. So you can't put up this whole front of, no, I don't know that guy. I don't know that guy.
I don't have a partner. No.
And then all of a sudden be like, oh, he's dead.
But it made you believe that he's probably not involved because it seemed very genuine.
And because he's the first one in. And it's never the first. Well, it's not never the first one, but it's rarely the first one that they bring in because they want to. It's too early. They can't. You can't have figured it out all out that soon.
Exactly.
There are the times when, you know, they call someone in and then let them go, and then we come back and find out that it was that person, but, you know, like the spouse or someone.
They do a little flip-flop.
So they do try to get you there.
Right.
We also find out from Lainey that there's nitrocelluloid.
Something like that. Stuff that's highly flammable.
Yes. And that the victim had to have... Yeah, and that Cameron had to have been shot somewhere nearby because he only had 5 minutes before he would have bled out. So he couldn't have driven from too far away. So they have to start, you know, canvassing the area to try and find anyone familiar.
I love this scene because so Ryan and Espo are kind of just like trying to figure out, like just walking around, trying to see any clues. And then Ryan is like obsessed with the lottery. Apparently it's like 250 million.
Which I don't blame him because, I mean, agree. Why not try to increase your odds by winning?
But he's a little obsessed with it. He's buying a lot of tickets. So he sees like a, corner market and goes in and is like, oh, I need to buy another ticket. And he's busy in the market getting the ticket, and Espo spots Jimmy Wolfinski on the street and like has to chase him down with no help of Ryan whatsoever.
And it's all happening like they run past the store door, and Ryan's just at the cash register,
like picking out his numbers. He's like 10, 32, and then you just see Espo like chasing the guy.
And then I love that he comes out and just goes, "See, I told you,
good luck.
This place was good luck."
Exactly.
Like, oh, I love their relationship. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So we find out from Jimmy when they finally get him in question and stuff that all he was doing was asking Cameron to put in a good word for him with his boss because he needed a job and he was trying to flip his life over just like Cameron did. You know, Cameron was doing the right thing with his life. He was on the right track. So that's all he wanted was someone to give him a break. But Cameron was being kind of shady towards him. Like,
he didn't want to help him out, apparently. So that kind of goes a little cold. We don't really get that much more out of Jimmy. But then they have a new idea to track GPS. And so Cameron was a driver for like a limo service. And then, let's see where he's been.
Yeah.
And apparently he was driving from this Colfax building to a certain spot, just taking various routes. So in the past, you know, he was a getaway driver 7 years ago. And so they're like, maybe he's getting back in the game. He's like planning his escape routes.
But you know, if someone tracked my driving record,
I would drive to the exact same places.
I do drive to the exact same places, mostly AfterBuzz TV in here. In home, I mean, because here is AfterBuzz TV, which I mean, I might as well live here too. But no, so I go from here to home all the time, and every time I do it, because I watch so many shows like this, in my back of my mind, I'm like, just to make sure that you know no one's waiting for me on a corner, I'm gonna take a different street.
You take different routes,
but I only have like 3 different routes that I take.
Oh, I don't think I know. Like they totally know if they were to follow my GPS, it'd be the same exact thing.
It's only
predictable.
It's only varied by like 1 street turn.
Hey,
you know? Instead of turning left here, drive down the street a little further and turn left at the next street.
All right.
But you know, just saying that there are people who watch these shows and then think that people are following them. Me.
I know. You're like, wait, what would happen in a Castle episode right now? It's not a good situation.
It's never a good situation, but shows like this keep me on my toes because I am constantly thinking, what if I were to die? Like, I have to do something to help the police.
Someone's going to jump around the corner. Like, I don't know.
I have to do something. So he's going to this Colfax building. So, of course, they have to go look at the security footage.
Right.
The head of security there, whose name we found out was Walter Dennis.
Walter Dennis.
Was kind of shady. We both had a bad feeling about him.
I was like, he's involved.
Kate was like, he's being a little cold.
Yep.
And when a head of security says that they found no footage or any signs of a break-in anywhere, you automatically
Nothing-
know that they're covering something.
Right.
I thought
Nothing's stolen. Everything's like up to date in their security system. Nothing's been breached. So I was like, how can that be?
Yeah, I was like, we have surveillance video of these guys coming into the. He's like, well, I don't know how.
Maybe
that
they
could
went to the
happen.
parking garage and then like couldn't get through, so then they left. That was his reasoning.
Yeah.
I'm
So
like,
where's the
"Ah,
video footage from that? Because you said you have cameras everywhere and your security footage is
I'm
so
on
great.
Walter Dennis. Okay.
Yeah, we're on to you. You don't scare us at all.
No.
So after they talk to Walter, they get the security footage and they see that, they can't find anything there. And then we find out that Cameron was on the verge of losing his house.
Yep.
So he was in financial trouble. And they found the apartment, Esposito and Ryan, walking around the neighborhood.
Yep.
They find a bullet hole in like
In
a
the mail news
newspaper
thing.
bin or something.
And then they look up because Cameron was shot in his car and the bullets were from above. They look up where the bullet hole is and there's a broken window. They go up there. It's kind of like a building under construction.
Yeah.
But they find evidence of a fire because the chemicals found under Cam's nails were flammable. So a fire, and then they find a diaper. So it brings us back to the baby. Like the baby was there.
The baby was there. So we're getting closer. We find blood on the wall that we don't know
Yeah.
whose blood it is. So it's very scary because at this point I'm thinking that the baby's parents are dead.
Or because no one's even coming for
Yeah, no one's said
saying
anything.
like there's a missing baby. So like if that's not happening, your mind kind of goes there.
Yes. So then we find Beckett has the great idea that, after babysitting baby for a night, they had so much trash. Hey, if they cleaned out this apartment, because the apartment was spotless, there was no fingerprints, it had been wiped down completely. They know that the blood belonged to someone related to the baby, but still there's no way to tell who it was. So they end up going dumpster diving to look for baby trash.
I love that they're in these like amazing outfits.
I know, they're so cute.
And they're dumpster diving.
And they're dumpster diving.
And
It's the
fine.
grossest thing ever.
No worries.
But they are able to Ryan finds a trash bag with a wine
Preserver kit and then ping pong balls
and a receipt.
which is time stamped. So then they go back and see that footage. But whoever it was very good at avoiding the camera.
They knew that camera was there
Yeah,
because
the hood
hood up, purposely kept his shoulders blocking.
They
the
know
camera
how to-
never looked. Did we ever find out who that was on the footage though?
No. So I wonder, like, once we get to the end, like, which one of those guys.
It was on
Right.
the footage. I just
One of
thought about
the
that.
posse, one of the guys.
So then this is the point where everything starts coming to a very fast conclusion like Castle loves to give us.
Yep.
Ryan is excited because the lottery numbers are about to be...
He like turns the
Yeah,
TV
he's like,
volume
"Everyone
up.
quiet.
He starts handing out his tickets so everyone can watch his numbers for him because he has like 50.
Yeah, so this is when Castle finally puts it together because they found a lottery ticket on their victim. And so he's like, wait a minute, this is what we're missing. Grabs the ticket and starts reading out the numbers before they happened.
Well, and when they found the ping pong balls, and then that was in the back of my mind. And then when he's watching the numbers being drawn, I'm like, it's totally related. Like it's all coming together.
It's all coming together now. I'm slow. I didn't pick up on
And
that.
I'm like, they fixed the lottery.
I mean, I wish I could fix the lottery in my favor.
I don't know how they described how they did it with some kind of gas and some kind. It went over my
All
head.
I understood was
But they fixed
they
it.
painted ping pong balls.
They made it work.
And sometimes they burn.
Yeah, and so they go to the TV station where the lottery was being drawn, and the guys there is like, that's impossible. Like these like briefcases of the ping pong balls are like under lock and key. It rotates, and then in the morning when the lottery's actually chosen, there's 9 briefcases you can choose from. So it's like totally random. He's like, this is impossible. This is like winning the lottery.
It is like winning the lottery. But it kind of helps because they know that only 2 people have access to these suitcases. We know that there's only one person who chooses which suitcase they use for the ping pong balls. And it's Miranda Vail, who is the lotto girl who, when we saw her, we were like, she looks...
I didn't have time to look up her name, but that actress looks
She looks so familiar. And for that reason alone, I was like, she has to be involved in some way. In some way. So Miranda Vail who is conveniently just walked out the door. Conveniently. So Beckett, of course, goes and runs her down, and she doesn't want to have anything to do. And Beckett finally goes, I have your baby.
And she's like, you have Benny? And she's like crying. It was very emotional.
It was very emotional. So,
but then she also is like, do you have my husband? And we're like, who?
Plot twist.
Who's your husband? And she's like, Paul. And we're like, I don't have a Paul. We don't know a Paul. Who's Paul?
We have baby, and we have you.
We have Cam, who died of, it's not her husband, thank goodness. Baby, and who the heck is Paul?
So it turns out that her family was being held as a ransom to make her fix the lottery. She got a call from some guys. They said, we'll call you and tell you which briefcase to pick. If our numbers don't come up, you will pay. You will be sorry.
Exactly.
She doesn't know how Benny got away from all this and how Cameron got to Benny at all.
Yeah, and now Paul's still missing. This is the part in Castle where it's like boom.
Yeah,
boom.
so we have to figure out how to find Paul and where is Paul. So the only thing that we can connect together is that the head of security, Walter Dennis, has to be involved because
you need access to that building. And so they're like, we need to go back to him. And apparently he was a retired police officer who was fired because he was accepting bribes. So he's kind of a dirty cop back in the day. So that's also like kind of his chain of kind of his MO.
And then we look up his phone records, and he's been calling the car service, but not
Cameron, because Cameron has died.
Dead. So this is over the past couple days that he's been calling there after Cameron's death.
So now you're like, well, who was he talking to? His boss. And I was like, see, I didn't think it was him at all. When I originally saw him.
Yeah. And so we find out that the boss found out that Cameron had this background, of like being a getaway driver, and kind of forced him into doing this, promised that no one was going to get hurt. But then after the heist, he
Paul and Benny, and he realizes that they don't really have a plan other than just to kill them. And so he's like, I can't, he couldn't live with that. And he tried to get them both out, couldn't, and at least grabbed Benny, and kind of
died because of it.
For him. Yeah, died for the baby.
But at least his wife knows that he is a good guy and that he did it to save a family. Sucks for her, but
so Beckett and Castle and the whole crew roll up on the boss at the car place, and they find Paul. Happy reunion. Yay. Poor Cam, though.
Poor Cam.
He was doing the right thing.
He was. Good guys.
I know. He turned his life around. He was doing,
He was doing the right thing.
Exactly.
So I want to talk about the baby, but before we do that, if you're listening to us on iTunes, make sure you go on and rate us, comment, give us 5 stars, let us know what you like, what you don't like about our show, how we can make it better for you, because we're here to please you guys, and we try to do the best show that we can, and we love your feedback. Also, make sure you check us out on YouTube. You can like us there. You can leave us a comment there and tell us your theories about Castle. We're going to go on a little bit of a hiatus right now,
so sad.
Let us know what you think about the upcoming wedding, baby talk, a lot of this episode. So let us know your thoughts on all of that. Yeah. Now let's talk about this baby.
The baby. So throughout the whole episode, the baby pops in and out.
And I just want to start by saying Cosmo is a much better name than Benny. No offense to any Bennies out there in the world, but Cosmo is just like a badass name.
Castle with this baby. So like they find him at the crime scene. Castle takes him. He's like, I'll go feed him. He comes back into the precinct with like 5 huge bags of baby supplies.
He had an officer carrying like all
it was amazing,
stuff.
And he calls himself the baby whisperer. I was like, I love you.
Oh, he's so cute with this baby, and you can just see from the start that Beckett's kind of keeping her distance. Like, oh yeah, you're cute,
but I'm gonna standoffish.
And it's arm's distance away.
She kind of plays it off like she doesn't want to get attached because, the baby's going to go to Child Protective Services and then hopefully be reunited with the family. So she kind of plays it off where you just kind of can't get attached. But then you find out she's not really a baby person. And Castle's doesn't take it very well.
He doesn't, because he's the baby whisperer. And he's a RHG, a ruggedly handsome dad. But I kind of felt for Beckett in this moment because I am uncomfortable around super tiny babies as well. Yeah. I don't have any of my own, I've never been the kind of person who's like, oh, give me your baby.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you've never had any little babies in your family, like I have a nephew, so now I'm like, hand them to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but if you didn't, like,
Yeah,
you
like
wouldn't have the experience.
Exactly. My friend had a baby. I went over to visit her. It was like a week old.
And you're
she's like, here, take him. And I was like, don't give me a baby. So I could totally understand where Beckett's coming from and the whole not wanting to get attached. But then, you also are just...
She also is like, keeps saying, like, it'll be different when we have our own. And so they're very, like, straightforward and open about like, they're definitely going to have a kid, apparently.
And I feel like this is the first conversation they've had, but it's not that awkward conversation where you have to be like, well, do you...
They're doing, and you know why? Because it goes back to the time travel episode. Yeah, my favorite episode of the season so far, when he said they would have more kids. Yeah. So they believed him because I believe him.
Because you believe him.
I believe he was from the future.
He was from the future.
Sidetrack, sorry.
Yeah. So then I love too how when we're at the precinct, Ryan comes up and is like, "Hey, Castle, can I try? Because this will give me good practice. I got one coming in like a month." Oh my gosh, that baby won't stop crying when he gets in Ryan's arms. Ryan's just so awkward. He's like, what am I doing wrong? And then he's having this whole freak out because...
Like, this is very different from the practice baby.
Yeah, and he starts having a freak out because, he thinks he's not ready to be a dad, and Esposito was so sweet.
Espo kind of gives him a little pep talk, and he's like, he kind of relates it to being a cop. Mm-hmm. You go to the academy, you do train all you can, and then you don't really become a cop until you're, like, on the force and you're out there and you're learning on the job. And he's like, and that's what will happen when you're a dad. Like, you'll learn when you have it. And he's like, you already care, and that's what matters most.
That was the sweetest thing ever.
I love them.
I love them together. Maybe they should date.
Plot twist.
Predictions. So we find out that Child Protective Services can't find anywhere for Cosmo to go that night. So instead of sending him off to strangers in like a hospital for a bed there, Castle decides to volunteer him and Beckett for the job.
I loved it. And they had,
I loved how Beckett tried to get out of it with the lady sitting right there.
He's just like, you don't need background checks. You don't need us to like sign papers. And she's like, no, he can stay with the NYPD. Like, that's fine. And she's like, oh God, I'm not getting out of this.
But she ended up being pretty good at it. She had natural instincts. She was reading the book, and it's like, bounce your baby to soothe him. And so she runs and gets a yoga ball and has Castle with Cosmo sit on it to bounce him to get him under control. And then he spits up on Castle, and Castle's like, here, take the baby. And she's kind of freaked out for a minute, tries to put him on the floor, tries to put him on a chair.
Yeah, I love... Both of us look at each other. So she sets the baby on, like, the couch and gets up, and we're both like, don't leave a baby. Like, they can roll. And she's like, oh. And she, like, jumps in. She's like, she has a few things to learn. But I love this little sequence when he has to have his diaper changed. Yeah. And it's like, they're kind of, like, teaming up to make this happen. And it's like, lotion, diaper. And it was like watching really a
NASCAR race and them come change the tires real quick. You know, the pit crew. That's what they're called.
They were the diaper pit crew. And they did quite a good job.
They make quite a great team. Yeah. And being a good team is always good in a relationship.
See?
And with babies.
And I love that Castle, so the next morning he kind of admits that, well, first Alexis walks in.
And she's like, how long have I been gone?
That was funny. I chuckled.
I did chuckle.
It was funny.
I thought she was going to be maybe jealous or something. I like that they didn't have her go that route.
That far. She's been a little dramatic lately, so that would have been a little over the top. But, like, they get back to the precinct, and Castle's like, so I kind of brought Cosmo home kind of selfishly because when Alexis was born, Meredith wasn't really around. Castle raised her on his own, and he doesn't want that to happen the next time around. And Kate assures him that, like, she's going to be there 100%. Again, saying that they are definitely having a kid.
For their child.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really cute.
When is this happening?
Yeah, can we have that happen already?
That's going to be
Can she get knocked up before the wedding?
Oh, boy.
Scandal.
I like it.
A pregnant bride? Come on. Doesn't get better than that. And then I also love during this episode that they're planning Thanksgiving dinner. And Castle opens up the show by telling Beckett that every year they dress up. So he she's gonna be Pocahontas.
Yeah.
She's gonna be
like a pilgrim,
and Pie's involved, and everyone's like doing something.
They do
all dress
costumes.
up.
It's a tradition, so we're all like, I'm like looking forward to seeing what they're gonna wear.
Yeah. And then we get to the Thanksgiving dinner, and I hit Kate because it's like, no one's dressed up and Beckett's not there.
And as soon as she finishes this comment, Beckett walks in and like pigtails, Pocahontas get up, and you think like the joke's on her. And she turns that around. She knows Castle way too well. She's like, of course I knew you were joking, but here's your pilgrim costume. Put it on. And so it was
we're
really
starting
funny.
a new family tradition.
Oh, it was cute.
So that was a great way to wrap up the episode and this part of the season on a happy note, and looking forward to the rest of it. So let's talk about our predictions for the rest of this.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, do you want to start with predictions?
All right. Well, I guess my big predictions are the family stuff. So I want planning the wedding. I want the main wedding. I still want more Alexis and Beckett bonding. So more of that developing, and I think it's going to happen maybe in the second half of the season, and hopefully it'll lead up to a wedding.
Okay.
I hope
I'm
so.
going to go with family stuff too, and this is coming to my head right now.
What?
I really wanted Cosmo's family to not be around so they could keep him.
Aww.
Just because I thought they were so cute
They
as a
would
family
be
unit.
cute.
But now I'm thinking, what if the struggle that they end up encountering is that they have a hard time getting pregnant?
Ooh.
And maybe eventually they have to adopt instead or start fostering. And so
That's a good idea.
that's maybe how they get, like, maybe that will be a
Little
struggle
practice
after they
steps into adopting or fostering.
into adopting and fostering, because
I
they
like
can't
that.
do it on their own. Maybe
How cute would it be is if Ryan asks like Espo to be the godfather once the baby's born?
Oh, that would be so cute.
And like Espo's not like into kids, and I think he's gonna be like super protective of his little like, I'm gonna say nephew. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a nephew.
Nephew.
And I think that Espo and Lainey should have some babies
Oh,
too,
that would be good.
because she's got baby fever.
Lainey loved Cosmo.
Lainey has got baby fever. She's got babies.
I
in the
thought they
brain.
were gonna play that up a little bit. I thought like when she was holding Cosmo, like Espo would walk in and be like a little
Lingering
freaked out.
looks.
But they didn't, which would have been, I think, a little funny.
Yeah. Would have been great. Well, make sure you guys let us know what you think about the episode, about this season, what your predictions are for the future, and where can they find you on social media?
So you can find me on Twitter at Kate Aquillano.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson. And you can find AfterBuzz TV on all social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you after the holidays. Have a happy holiday.
Yeah, happy holidays, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.